everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Vince!
And it's time once again
to recommend things.
Vince?
Yes.
What are you going to recommend today, man?
I'm going to recommend a comic book.
Ooh.
But not just any comic book, a specific comic book, a one-shot released by Image. And it's called Deadlands, Death Was Silent. Yeah, here you go. See? That's what it looks like. There you go. And Deadlands is apparently an RPG, I assume a computer game. I haven't really had a chance to look into the game itself. But it's about westerns plus super science plus the supernatural. And
so you're telling me you picked up a book based on a video game you've never played?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Now, here's the reason I picked it up. I didn't know what it was. I picked it up and it's a collection of one-shots. I don't really have to have read anything about it before. And it was $2.99, so it's reasonably cheap as far as comic books go.
Right.
And I thumbed through it, and the thing that made me pick this book up was, well, first of all, the art's reasonably pretty. It's not bad. And secondly, the main character is this man riding into town. Like the first couple pages, you get this man riding into a town on a horse with a corpse draped over the back of the horse. And he has this, what do you call this thing? A chalkboard strapped around his neck. And when this kid reaches up to touch this corpse next to the horse, he turns around and it says, "Don't touch." And basically, he has this chalkboard that erases itself and writes text on itself.
Cool.
It's really neat to me. So, a man of few words, but a man of a lot of words. So, it's really neat to me that... And the story in this, it's one of these... I mean, it's a one-shot. It's based on sort of a horror-type thing, so it's not entirely unlike a Tales from the Crypt comic book, only set in the West. And granted, that's not to say that Tales from the Crypt comics weren't set in the West from time to time. But anyway, so it's got that feel. And what's interesting to me about this is that despite the fact that we don't really have a discernible character arc, and it's obviously just trying to foster interest in the video game, this particular issue was still really interesting. And there's only like 3 other one-shots out there. Actually, I think there's only 2 one-shots that have been released so far, minus this one. I think number 4 is coming out. So, I mean, they're one-shots, so there is no number 4. But the 4th one is going to be released. And I've only read this one. I don't know if the rest of them are good, but it's a highly interesting topic to me. And if you can take a little bit of quirk with it, if you can this is just pure creative, and I say go for it. Even some of the less creative things that have happened before, things that you've seen before, are still creative to me. I mean, for example, how many times do you see something where, oh my God, a guy's been brainwashed, or oh my God, that guy is now a vampire? Well, how are you telling it? How is it different? Well, this one's different because it has a man on a horse who has a chalkboard for a voice. I mean, it's different. So you take it where you can get it. I love creative things that can make up for maybe lack of a whole story. Mm-hmm. But and what's really interesting to me is that in the back it proves to you that it's supposed to be an incomplete story because they have part 3 and parts 1 and 2 I don't think were in the other ones. I think because I looked in the back of one of the other books and it had a completely disjointed story from the rest of it, and it had nothing to do with the one that's in the back of this.
Weird.
This is like Dime Story backup, or Dime Store backup.
Well, it's just a backup feature.
So it's a backup feature that has nothing to. It's part 3 of a backup feature that I don't believe has parts 1 and 2.
Are you sure?
I think so.
They're doing backup features?
Well, it's what it says is Dime Store backup,
right.
Part 3 of 4.
You're sure the other ones aren't related?
The other one was not the kid in Prey.
Okay. That's weird. Okay, whatever.
So there's 2 more issues released, and one of the ones that I picked up did not have Kid in Prey.
I don't know.
Which, this one's interesting. There's other ones out there. I don't know what those ones are. I've read this one. It's good. Anyway.
Awesome, sweet. That's so interesting to me that you read a book based on a video game that you hadn't played, and you liked it so much you recommended it.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I'm not recommending the video game, although if your interest is deep enough to play the video game...
Right. Well, you don't know. You haven't played it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's good. I'm just saying I recommend that issue. It's interesting.
Today I'm going to recommend a comic book that Vince and I both read. This came out just last week. This is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 from IDW. I've been looking forward to this for a long time, and it finally came out. This is cool for lots of reasons. First of all, Eastman is writing again. Yay for that. If you don't know anything about the background of Ninja Turtles comics, the original, what was it, 12? Or... Of like the original run. Well, no, I know, but I mean like the original run that everybody remembers.
I think it was about 12 issues.
I forget how many issues it was.
I have a trade of it. It's about yay thick.
This is of course trying to be more like that than like anything. I don't want to say it's trying to be just like that for a couple reasons. First of all, it's a reboot because of some licensing stuff with Laird. They actually can't do that continuity anymore. So I didn't know that, but I found that out recently, and that's the reason they're not doing the old continuity because they don't have the rights to it. But Eastman does have the rights to do Turtles, so he can do all the characters. He just can't do that continuity. Is how I understand it. It's a little bit convoluted. But anyway, so we've got something that tonally is kind of like that. Of course, it's in color, but it's very muted color. Like it feels kind of indie, and I mean it's IDW, so it is technically indie, but I mean, like, IDW has, a lot of quality work, and they do color comics. So, but I think that it's intentionally trying to look underground. I would make the case. But there's some great art here. I love this 2-page spread. This got me hooked right away. When I turned the page and I saw that, I went, I'm excited. This is great. This is what
teeth.
Yeah, me too. That's what I want to see with my Turtles. Even though it's in color, we have the old staple of all the headbands are the same color, and you can only tell what turtle you're looking at by what he's saying sometimes, and by what he's holding in his hands. And anyway, that's the deal there. They are. I feel like they're going back to the old urban kind of way of doing Ninja Turtles, and I feel like they're trying to be at least as urban realistic, or more so than they were back in the day, given what they're giving as the backstories and the introductions to characters we know as they're introducing them. I didn't immediately, and I guess I'll give a couple minor spoilers, but I didn't immediately know what I thought of April, say, naming the Ninja Turtles. I thought that was a little bit odd because honestly, I purposely went into this not knowing exactly how rebooty it was going to be, not knowing exactly what they were doing. I just went Ninja Turtles, IDW, and old school type drawing and storytelling. I want to see it, but I didn't want to know too much about it. So I didn't realize that they were going to change things like that. So like the Turtles. The old school Turtles fanboy of me went, wait a minute, Splinter names the Turtles. That's not right. But it's actually really interesting because the relationship I'm sure she'll have with the Turtles is going to be very different, something we haven't seen before, and that's exciting, right? Because you're going to have now an April who, and she's a lab assistant like she was in the original comics, and so you're going to have an April who knew the Turtles before they were mutants, rather than having that classic scene you always get where she first sees them mutated. No, you're mutated. That's so weird. Talking Turtles. I don't think we're going to have that in this. You know what I mean?
Well, I think we're going to have some of it. I don't think we're going to have a big, long to-do about her having to accept that these turtles exist.
Right.
But because she was part of the experimenting, well, kind of.
It's going to be a different. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a different thing. And then, and I won't give away what exactly we see, but we get a little bit of introduction for Casey Jones, and that's different. And I don't know what I think of it yet.
Casey Jones was in that at all?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, he's the reveal at the end. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, look at it.
I didn't realize that was Casey Jones.
Yeah, that's the reveal at the end.
Anyway.
Yeah. I won't say how, but yeah, Casey Jones shows up at the end. Yeah.
One of the things
Raphael runs off, and he finds Casey Jones, but not in the way that he did originally.
One of the things I like a lot about this new reboot is that it's... I'm not sure what I'm trying to say. See, reboots offer this chance to connect things that seem disconnected.
Okay.
When you have a universe that has, okay, we have these turtles, and now we want them to meet April, and now we want them to meet Casey Jones, and now we want them to do this and that, and suddenly they're fighting Triceratons. So what's neat about a reboot is it gives you a chance to make some of these things cohesive, and if they say you can use all the characters, but you have to do it in a different universe, they basically find a way to tie these people together to where it's not just random meetings.
I also like that it's not going to just be several issues of origin and setup before things start happening.
Yeah.
Because we're getting 2 different time periods at the same time. They're doing the Lost thing, where we have present day and then we jump to the past. And I think that's likely to be the format for a while. And I dig that.
That's one of the things that they did that in the original comics too, and they do that.
Did they? It's been so long since I've read it. I don't remember that. So cool.
They did that in the recent series, not Fast Forward, but the one that was good.
Right.
And
well, that was part. I consider that part of that series, but yeah.
They it's less integrated into the story and more just like a catch type of try to hook them in. Say this is going to happen. There's going to be a big brawl right in the middle of the street between the turtles and this gang.
That's true, except that the way they did that in that show is it wasn't that part of the story was taking place in the past and part in the present like we get here. Here it's part of the past and part of the present.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that it's a more sophisticated version.
But that was I wouldn't even thought of that because that was a teaser. That was like the teaser sets it up and then you know what I mean. Kind of like Batman Breaking the Mold except less disconnected.
Well, Batman Breaking the Mold is like, look, we have cool stuff, and now here's the rest of this episode.
It's time for the story to happen.
Nothing to do with that.
Anyway, I definitely recommend it. Not a ton of story in the first issue, but you know, good setup, and I love the art. I think it's great.
I'm excited to see where this thing goes.
I also have to say I'm really happy to see IDW doing more monthlies because I would not have wanted to see this be a miniseries. You know what I mean? Like they're able to do the kind of storytelling that we're talking about with the 2 different time periods and things like that because they know they have time. And IDW is, well, we saw this, we complained about this with Infestation. We saw this with Infestation. IDW is notorious for setting up a great story and then not giving you enough time to finish it.
Yeah. You know, IDW, I have 2 IDW books on my pull right now. Turtles.
I do too, Turtles in the new Star Trek series when it starts.
And mine's Rocketeer Adventures.
Rocketeer Adventures, I've heard, is fantastic. I've not gotten a chance to read that yet.
It's a little quirky and it's fun. I wouldn't necessarily say it's good, but it's interesting.
I do want to say that is a really good pick for all ages. That's a good all ages and kids type title also.
Have you thumbed through it?
Yeah.
They have some like pin-up pictures in there.
Do they really?
Of Betty, whatever last name.
Oh, okay, all right. I didn't know that. I've seen it on.
There's no nudity, but they're scantily clad.
Okay, I've seen it on several. I mean, like I flipped through. I haven't read it, but I have seen it on several sites giving lists of good all ages titles.
I'll say this.
So I thought that it was trying to be that.
I would say this. I would give you caution, but if I had a kid that's say 6 or 7 years old, I'd let him read it.
Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't have said that without reading it, but that's what I had read. Is all I'm saying.
The stories are not so uncertain. Maybe we're doing now a review of Rocketeer.
Well, I haven't read it.
But I would say that the stories are sophisticated to the point that a child could get into it, or not too sophisticated to the point. I'm stuttering. Save me. Anyway. We're recommending these.
Well, hey, thanks a lot for watching us recommend stuff. We'll recommend something for you once again next week. Also, as always, I recommend my novel. If you don't know about it, Normal is a 4-letter word. It's got robots, it's got therapy, it's got giant floating eyeballs. It's 300 pages of zany sci-fi wackiness, and you can buy it right now at wearegeeksnotnerds.com. Also, you can go to popculturecomics.com and read digital comics, both free digital comics. There's several stuff there that's free, and also new day-and-day stuff. Check it out if you don't have a comic book store close and you don't have a good way to get comic books. And thanks again for watching. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Vince, reminding you to keep going to your giant robotic eye therapy.
It's a great idea. We'll see you next time. Bye.